Welcome to Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and I'm pleased to introduce Southern New Hampshire MicroSociety's charter schools. And your name is?
I'm Tom Malone.
Tom Malone and?
I'm Cheryl Bean.
Cheryl Bean. And I want to welcome you both to the show. So,
thanks for having us.
MicroSociety, what is this MicroSociety? Southern New Hampshire MicroSociety Charter Schools. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Well, first of all, we're an exploratory group, parents as well as some educators such as myself. And what our purpose is to bring the idea of a microsociety charter school to the greater Nashua area. And the microsociety school we would envision ultimately would be kindergarten through 8th grade. And the school would teach all the skills that a regular school would teach, yet at the same time we would add the excitement of engaging the students in creating and operating the institutions of their own small society in a school.
Now, you have a background in education?
I do.
Yes.
Yes, I was involved as an educator for 34 years. I'm now retired. And I was a teacher and a principal. And for 24 out of my 34 years as an educator, I was involved in a microsociety school in Massachusetts.
So you've seen it work?
Yes. And I'm proud to say that Cheryl was one of our early students at that particular school.
Okay.
I was there the first year it opened in first grade.
And obviously you graduated?
I did. First through 8th grade I was there.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you thought, the learning process with this. What was it engaging? Tell us a little bit about your experience.
Very engaging. I mean, I was 5 when I went there and 13 when I graduated, and I remember really liking the school and looking forward to the activities. I'm pretty sure even like around 7 or 8 years old, like you could run your own business. So me and a few of my friends had our own business, and we like made up crafts, different crafts, and we sold them. We had a marketplace. Everyone had their own little businesses, and we learned a lot about like inventory and the cash that comes in and goes out and what that takes. And we were only 8 years old, and we were doing all that. So it's like what you learn in your math class, you kind of incorporate into that, and it was something really fun to do at the end of every day.
You know what this just reminds me of, and it's actually an epiphany. I graduated from Temple Street Elementary School, or probably the last couple of years that it was in existence here in Nashua. I had probably the best 6th grade teacher in the world. His name was Mr. Muse. Mr. Muse taught us about science, about photosynthesis, and about the whole structure of cells. And I remember perfectly how he incorporated all that science into a business. We in class had to learn how to cut wandering Jew plants. And we would seed them, we would plant them. And at the end of the year, we sold them back to Mr. Muse for cash. It was great. And we were learning, and we didn't, it was probably one of my best classes in the school. And it just dawned on me, we were operating a business, we were learning science at the same time. It was okay, it was fun to go to school. I didn't want to skip then. You know, obviously, yeah. But unless I had a homework assignment. But that was just on a very micro scale, in that it was done in a classroom, and he did it as part of he had the flexibility in his classroom to have that curriculum designed the way he wanted it. Mm-hmm. We would learn about the cells, about photosynthesis, about business, about profits. It's okay to make a buck. It's okay to run a business. And it's funny how that you just brought something up that actually, oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it work.
Exactly.
So you're an exploratory group to bring this type of education into Southern New Hampshire, because obviously it's not here. or you want to augment what we already have?
Well, MicroSociety theme school is not present in southern New Hampshire, and it's not present in New Hampshire at all at this point. And you know, the Nashua Public Schools is probably doing a fine job with what they're doing. But our purpose is to present an alternative to parents who want to see their children actively engaged in the learning, taking the concepts from the math book that they might have, or these days the iPad, and applying it to situations and making it situational. Where you and I, when we were youngsters, we probably had to sit through doing those dry math word problems, maybe dealing with interest and percentages, et cetera, to learn our math, basic 6th grade math. And whereas in a micro-society school, the children will be learning about those concepts in math, yet at the same time, they would have the opportunity to apply those concepts by the creation and the operation of their own bank, for example. I know nowadays the banks don't present a great savings opportunity for the citizens to rack up a lot of interest, yet at the same time it still creates a situation where the children actually get an opportunity to figure out, okay, what is the interest that I'm going to earn if I put money in my savings account? And the money we're using, by the way, would be, for lack of a better term, micro-society dollars or micros, or so the school has its own currency.
Exactly. Well, that's basically what we had in Mr. Muse's, and we change our play money for real money at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's basically role-playing in education.
Exactly. And I'm sure you and us, as well as your members in your audience, we all at one point probably had the opportunity when we were kids during the summer, hot summer, deciding, okay, well, why don't we try to do it on the lemonade stand, or well, let's sell Kool-Aid.
Right.
All right. And sometimes we were successful if we were on the right corner, and you know, the right people stopped by and bought our lemonade and our cookies maybe and our Kool-Aid. And it was a great experience. We enjoyed doing that, and we learned a little bit about the math. We learned a little bit about maybe what it was going to cost us to reimburse our mother or our father for the supplies, right, et cetera. And so that gave us a very small opportunity to apply the math that we might, and the whole idea of business concepts, right, to one particular activity that through our imagination we dreamed up ourselves.
Now, there seems to be a need for this type of education because right now, you know, we hear the phrase cookie cutter education, where one size fits all. Maybe there is some type of flexibility within that cookie cutter, but this is really designed to have a hands-on education for kids, if they want to learn how to count change, or if they want to learn about banking, or if they want to learn about politics, or if they want to learn about the whole structure of society. There's hands-on training with this, a practical application, which doesn't necessarily fit the mold, if you will, of the public education. Where do we go with this? If it's worked in Massachusetts, has it worked in other areas in our country? Is it starting to take the country by storm as an alternative?
Well, excuse me. The micro-society concept has caught on with over 250 schools throughout the country, and there is in fact a national group that now is kind of acts as a clearinghouse. MicroSociety, the National MicroSociety Organization in Philadelphia, And it came as a result of the school with which I was associated with in Lowell getting some notoriety, and a lot of educators kept clamoring for more and more information. How do you manage to do this?
Right.
And so ultimately this national organization was formed, and it now has a network of over 250 schools in this country and Canada and a couple other foreign countries as well. And there are charter schools as well as non-charter schools. There are public schools. There are parochial schools. And there are after-school programs as well as what might be referred to as full-day programs.
I think it was a year or two ago, the Broad Street School, I believe it was either Broad Street or Elm Street, one of them, no, it might have been Elm Street, I apologize. Elm Street Middle School had a one-day event where the kids would go to, and they would actually be part of a micro-society. It was a one-day event, though. It wasn't part of their regular curriculum. And they had a jail, they had a mayor, they had little businesses, and I think salon shops, and everybody had to play a role. But it was only one day. But they came back and they told their stories about, their experience. And, oh, yeah, that person went to jail, or this person was the mayor, or it was pretty interesting to see the feedback. But on an ongoing basis, this can really be very helpful. It's not homeschooling, but where there's a real life application, but this is role playing. Can you get into the difficult math and difficult languages or language arts? Are there any drawbacks to this that the public school has advantage over the charter? Or
Well, and first of all, I think what you might have been referred to is I think they've gone under a couple of names, but I think the program you were talking about for that national school might have been taken advantage of, Exchange City, I believe, and I think they're located out near Portsmouth.
Okay.
But as far as applications of things that go on outside of the school and making them relevant to what the kids can do in school. When we were first beginning to work on this idea, we always went back to, well, how does it work outside society, and can we bring that into the micro-society?
Okay.
And once we do that, we might need to simplify it in some ways, but at the same time keep the basic frameworks, and then build from there.
So is there a curriculum that you can go and you can take from a standardized curriculum that you folks have developed and incorporate that into the school here in Nashua?
There is a micro-society curriculum that has been developed over the years by various schools, and the Clearinghouse Micro-Society in the national organization in Philadelphia, they have put all these materials together, and they'd be happy to work with a school such as ours here in Nashua to assist us with implementing the curriculum and also doing the professional development for our staff. But the beauty of a micro-society school is that the staff, the parents, and the students also have the capability of making it their own.
Right.
And
customizing it.
So it's not a cookie cutter type curriculum that's going to be imposed on the students and the parents in Greater Nashua. There's a framework, there are some suggestions, there are some ideas, and what we're looking for are some other parents and community members out there in Nashua who would be of like mind to join us in our group
So-
and help work on the details.
Where are you in the stage of that at this point? What stage are you? This is the exploratory stage?
Right now, we're trying to build up an audience, I guess. We're going to have an information meeting. We want to know if parents would be interested in a school like this. I'm very interested in this because I had the experience and I want my kids to have it. But we are trying to gather people for a board eventually. Just trying to get the information out there, and then hopefully we will apply maybe in the spring for do the application in the spring. We're really in the beginning stages right now.
Are you looking for educators to be part of this, or just anybody? Or?
We would love for educators to be involved, like from the ground up. Like they'd be really involved in helping from the very beginning of the school. Be very involved. Yes.
What's your goal?
We would also like the members of the business community, lawyers, accountants, kind of a cross section of the community, to augment the parents and the educators, so that if we have a good cross section on our board, for example, not only would we be able to lean on some of their natural expertise, but they in turn could also do outreach into the community to bring into our school aspects of the community, such as including our students in field trips to one of the local banks, for example. And the students would see how a bank is operated by visiting the bank, and if ideally, if there's a partnership established with that bank, the banker would be able to come in and work with our students along with the teacher in trying to see how the bank of today operates on a day-to-day basis, dealing with customers, dealing with loans, and dealing with deposits and things of that nature.
So right now we're looking from 5th to 7th grade, correct? K-5 to
Actually, kindergarten to 5th grade.
to 5th grade, okay.
To start.
To start.
And then we would be adding, as each year progresses, we will have the 5th grade move on to 6th, 7th, then 8th grade. So right now we see ourselves as as a kindergarten through 8th grade. Ultimately, it depends on the interest of the parents and the students, and it also depends on the funding situation from the state of New Hampshire and the federal funds as well, that are some of the startup funds that the state of New Hampshire uses to help get schools started.
Where are you meeting, and how are people getting in touch with you?
We've been having some meetings at the Nashville Public Library. We have one coming up Tuesday night, September 25th at 7 in the NPL Theater, just to give people a general idea of what MicroSociety is, because they're probably wondering what exactly it entails.
Right.
We have a Facebook page that we've been using. It's Southern New Hampshire. Let me see if I remember this whole title.
MicroSociety.
It's we're
Is it
facebook.com/NH Microschool is how you could access it.
Okay. How many members do you have of your board at this time?
Right now, we consider ourselves an exploratory group. We have several parents and some educators that are exploring the concept.
Right.
But the key thing is right now we are still open to welcoming additional parents who have interest and community members who might have expertise in the various fields, such as the legal field and the banking field, businesses, et cetera, that can lend that expertise to and round out the board. Ultimately, come November or after the holiday, right after Thanksgiving or so, we would like to formalize our group so that we would have ultimately a board, a startup board, and then we would be able to begin fleshing out the application that we would want to submit to the New Hampshire Department of Education, which would be the next step.
I see. Okay, doing all the applications and finding a place to meet and all that. Now, would there be a formal place for you to have the school set up, or?
That, again, is still in the exploratory stage. We haven't, as we see ourselves as drawing parents and students from southern New Hampshire. And obviously Nashua is a hub for a lot of things, industry as well as transportation or whatever. But we would have to see what the board decides in regards to where they feel would be the best location. It could be on the border of Nashua and one of the other local communities. We'll see what the interest is of the parents who are out there and the demographics of where we're drawing, and also to make it centrally located so that those parents who don't have ready access to transportation would be able to drop their students off.
Now, the MicroSociety in Lowell, how long has that been in existence?
Well, it was in existence for 24 years, as it turns out. Sadly, as it turned out, I should point out that the school was closed, not because the school wasn't effective, because the test scores were at or near the top of the scores for the rest of the city of Lowell. But it was closed because of its location.
Was it zoned out of existence?
The location of the building was right next to Lowell High School. And Lowell High School several years ago decided that they wanted to, instead of moving the building and dividing up their population as Nashua did several years ago, which was a major project and a major challenge, which I congratulate them on. I can only imagine what would happen in Lowell. But as it turned out, Lowell decided they were going to need extra space, and they took the building in which we were located and created a freshman academy. So they have all the freshmen located in one building. And that, of course, freed up space in the main building for the sophomores through seniors. So it was a bit frustrating in the fact that we thought we were doing an excellent job, and we were doing our scores were very good generally, but due to the fact that the high school just needed more space, they decided that they were going to move us out.
And they couldn't find another spot for you, right, obviously.
They ended up taking the population and the staff and combining them with another displaced staff and students, and as a result, the whole theme was lost to that.
Are there success stories around the country, though, where this is going on?
There are success stories all around the country. In El Paso, Texas, Sageland Elementary School, a school not that far across the border from Mexico, where you have a high incidence of obviously Latino students, many of whom have English as a second language. And they're an elementary school that's earned many awards in Arizona for their achievement and for their excellence. You know, that's one example. There's a middle school in Florida, Chokahatchee, if I pronounced it correctly, and they're a middle school, and they are quite large. I think they had over 1,000 middle school students in the school, and they've received notoriety and congratulations and awards from Florida as well. And in fact, their school is so large that they kind of pioneered the effort of kind of doing some of the MicroSociety that they do as a school online.
Oh, interesting.
And, so, an updated version of a Southern New Hampshire MicroSociety charter school, we would hope, would involve students utilizing iPads, for some of the transactions,
Right.
and being very current with technology.
So if somebody wants to investigate a little bit, just look up MicroSociety education on Google, something to that effect, to find out how it's effective and some of its
Well, they can look at microsociety.org, and that is the national organization's website, and that's chock full of resources. Also on YouTube, if you enter MicroSociety schools on YouTube, you will get a number of videos from various schools throughout the country. And if you're real good with your Googling, you might come across a 1996 version of ABC World News Tonight report on the City Magnet School in Lowell, Massachusetts.
and that's the one you were part of.
And that's the school with which we were associated.
How do people get in touch with you so that they can be part of the board or meet? You're meeting at the National Library,
Yep.
right?
Just through the Facebook page. We have a Gmail account, New Hampshire Microschool at gmail.com, and they can contact us that way on the Facebook page.
And the telephone number?
And you can reach a telephone number at 603-566-8302.
Great. Well,
And again, we would welcome people attending our meeting coming up on the 25th at the National Public Library.
of September.
September
September, yep.
25th, that's correct. And it would be the National Public Library Theater, and we would anticipate being able to show you another one of our videos and engage in a conversation further on what we think a microsociety school might mean to your child. And following that meeting, the general meeting we anticipate will be about an hour, because we know how valuable parents' time is. 7 to 8 o'clock would be the formal parent information meeting. But if parents and community members want to really engage with us and want to participate in helping us add more meat and flesh to the frameworks that we're presenting here, then they'd be welcome to join us for a short organizational meeting shortly after that, so that we can begin setting up future meetings.
Great. Well, we want to thank you very much for coming on Gate City Chronicles, and we hope that many people will join you and explore and find out what this microsociety is. It sounds very intriguing. It sounds like another opportunity for our community to grow in another aspect and augment and amplify what we need in our education system. So this seems like one of those little alternatives that needs to be out there for some of the kids that need a different type of education.
Exactly, and if I may, one thing I would like to mention is that we don't see ourselves as solely a vocational school, because these students will be prepared for the world of work, or looking out the world of work in the 21st century, but also will be prepared to figure out what kind of education they're going to need to become the entrepreneurs and the lawyers and the judges and the corporation owners, et cetera, for the 21st century as well. So it's for students, high achievers, as well as students who really need that hands-on activity as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for watching Gate City Chronicles. We hope this has been helpful. Please give them a contact or meet them at the public library, and thanks again for watching.